OpenDane is basically a representation of the TGA's adverse event reports for the COVID-19 injections. A group of volunteer researchers who have been working on this for the last year or two, and basically they have done hundreds and hundreds of hours of volunteer work to collate this data, but not only that, cross-match it with Freedom of Information reports that had extra information about batch numbers and cases, and it's been presented on a website which is making the data easier to interpret, easier to visualise, and basically demystifying all the adverse event reports that have been submitted, of which there are over 139,000. It's more than all of the adverse event reports for all of the other vaccines combined.
I've seen people commenting online trying to explain the high figure of COVID vaccines by saying, well, everyone was given a COVID vaccine, so it's only natural for there to be so many adverse reports. But correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, but haven't pretty much all Australian kids been getting childhood vaccines since the 80s? How does their argument stack up against the actual statistics from other medications, and particularly vaccines that have been in high use over many decades?
You only need to go to, for example, the Western Australian Vaccine Safety Report 2022, which basically showed that the rate of adverse events per 100,000 doses given had exponentially increased, and that's the words of the report, by 24 times. And that pattern has been replicated around the world. And the people who put this website together, that's really what they wanted to do, lift the lid and show, well, this is what we have here. People can do their own private study and have a look at the statistics, but also maybe hopefully other researchers will be actually looking to see the patterns, because there are some patterns there in the adverse event reports that have appeared, so we know where to look.
Would you say now, looking back, when those press conferences were made, when the mandates were implemented, and we had medical authorities and politicians telling us that these vaccines were safe and effective?
Safe, it's effective.
Safe, it's effective. Safe is effective.
Safe and effective.
These are safe and effective products.
Was that 100% truthful, and was it known at the time that there were big question marks hanging over the safety of these vaccines?
At best, all they could ever say when these came out was that we don't know. When we find out that the injections weren't even tested for transmission by Pfizer, well, we all soon discovered how effective they were. And as for the safety, we use time in medicine a lot, and that passage of time had not passed for us to weed out what the adverse events are going to be. There were a lot of known risks, a lot of unknown risks, and unknown risks. And when you put all those things together, especially with the paucity of data that we had, I don't think there was any way they could say that they were safe. But now we have data that shows us that we need to go and look at these safety signals and see exactly what's happened, especially with the significant rates of adverse event reports there are on the website.